Hello. Happy holidays from Storm and I. What is it? What is it? Today we're going to talk about the origins of Christmas and some of the true history behind it, I guess. So, yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay, so way, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, Christmas wasn't really called Christmas. It started out originally as the celebration of light and birth, and pretty much mostly so basically, when the worst of the winter was behind them, they would celebrate. The Norse celebrated Yule. That I guess is what Christmas was originally called. If you want, you can fact check me on all of this. I'm not prepared. Ever. Just like how I was in school. So they would celebrate Yule, and the men of the town or whatever, like the fathers and the sons, they would go out, they would look for like logs and stuff, primarily logs, focusing way too much on this eyebrow. Remember, I have either sisters, not twins. So when the men would bring back logs, they would burn them, and while the logs were burning, they would feast and party and drink, and they would celebrate until the logs burned out, and this would typically take up to 12 days. I'm having a really difficult time, boyfriend, getting through my points with you interrupting me a lot, which is rude, and if you're gonna keep interrupting me, go somewhere.
How rude? How could you say that? You're one and only boyfriend.
So before I was rudely interrupted, so throughout Europe, during this time, it was pretty common to celebrate during the winter solstice, mainly because like that's when meats were mostly fresh, because like cattle and pigs and all those animals were slaughtered for food, and also all the beer and the wine that was being made throughout the year. It's finally ready. Should I do this eye red or green on the top?
Red. Christmas.
Merry Christmas! So in Germany, they honored Odin, and during this time, they were actually pretty scared of Odin. I mean, overall, they were pretty scared of Odin. They believed that Odin would fly around at night and just judge people. Like,
Just eating the grease off the bottom of the phone.
I'm eating the chicken.
so I grew up Southern Baptist, and I was raised to believe that Christmas was the birth of Christ, which that is not entirely true. There is evidence where it is to, evidence that leads to Jesus actually being born in the springtime. So that had me thinking, why is that the birth of Christ? When the Bible specifically, it never says when he was born. Oh no!
Also, random fact, when you think about it, when Joseph, his stepdad, basically, and Mary, or having the baby and stuff, there was like the shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a shepherd out in the middle of winter?
That is true. That is true.
Facts.
And shepherd's got a chef.
So, in early Christianity, Easter was the primary and main holiday before Christmas because it is mentioned in the Bible that Christ died for our sins and rose again on the third day. Yada yada yada, that can be another video. And like I said earlier, the Bible never specifically said when Jesus was born. And the Puritans actually later on pointed that fact out to try to discredit Christmas and then later on completely ban it. So Pope Julius the First chose December 25th as a day to celebrate Christmas. And this was in effort to adopt the pagan traditions that were, as I later talked about, like with Yule and stuff. And they actually held a feast called the Feast of Nativity. Look it up. The church leaders increased their chances of popularity, but they couldn't control how we celebrate Christmas. Hence, Santa and Mean Girls, Jingle Bell Rock. Hit us with some fun facts. Fun facts with Nard.
Fun facts!
Fun facts!
So, let's see. Fun fact number 1. In the Middle Ages, Christmas celebrations were actually rowdy and raucous? I don't know. They treated it like basically Mardi Gras. So, there was a lot of drinking. So basically, it's like Christmas now. Fun fact number 2. The first eggnog made in America was consumed by Captain John Smith. So, after, he went on, got him a Pocahontas, started slurping down some nog.
John Smith did not end up with Pocahontas. You're just thinking of the Disney movie.
Which is why Disney made Pocahontas 2. Because historians got really mad at Disney and were like, hey, that's not how that went. You gotta fix that. So Disney was like, oh shit, my bad.
Fun fact number 3.
Woo!
Oh, this goes back to what you talked about with the Puritans.
Mm-hmm.
So when Christmas became a thing, the Puritans canceled or basically outlawed it in Boston from 1659 to 1681. And the lawbreakers were fined 5 shillings. You know what you can do with 5 shillings?
Show stuff.
No.
Anywho, so some more about how my experiences with Christmas. As I said, I grew up Southern Baptist, so for a good chunk of my childhood, I would go to church on Christmas, and I had a lot of Christmas celebrations. And of course, I got dressed in those ugly ass kids' Christmas dresses. But there was a period of time where Christmas was not a good holiday for me, and the holiday season just got extremely stressful. When I was in high school, that was always the end of the semester for me. So I would always have a bunch of homework that I would have to do over winter break. When I look back on it now, I was just forced into a lot of Christmas decorating when I had assignments that was due. And oh wait, wrong brush. This brush. And I'm sure my lovely parents, I love you so much. But if you see this, you're probably going to be in denial about what I'm about to talk about or find some excuse or whatever. Please don't get mad at me. I'm just here speaking my truth. I felt forced into Christmas decorating, and it just took the enjoyment out of it for me. But my house in high school always looked bomb as fuck during Christmas. It was so pretty. But when I graduated high school and I was dating someone who is not that great, I was starting to get excited about the holidays and Christmas and getting to spend Christmas with them, but he just sucked all of the enjoyment out for me. He would always say how much he hated Christmas because he was forced into events that he didn't want to be a part of. He just never was willing to do anything Christmas related with me, so I just lost interest, I guess. I also didn't really enjoy spending Christmas for a couple years with my family. It was just extremely depressing for me at the time. Thinking back on it now, I'm not really sure why it was so depressing, probably because of everything that was going on with my ex, and it just ruined Christmas for me, basically. And I spent a couple Christmases with him, and there was just nothing ever enjoyable about it. But recently, I have been starting to enjoy Christmas again because of boyfriend. He, in the 3 Christmases, well, now going on 3 Christmases we spent together, every single time we'll get around time of year, he'll be like, "Oh, girlfriend, time to get into Christmas spirit." Ain't that right, boyfriend?
Very Chrysler.
And also, what really made me start liking Christmas again is working with 2-year-olds. Working with 2-year-olds just brought the magic of Christmas back for me. So we have an elf in our classroom. The class voted to name him Peppermint. So my coworkers and I would think of like really elaborate things to like put the elf. It was kind of like Elf on the Shelf, where like every day the elf would be in a different location doing something different. And one day we decided to put Peppermint. We made this like big paper airplane, and we put Peppermint on the paper airplane, and we hung it from the ceiling, which those ceilings at my job are tall as fuck. Like taller than me tall. And that's tall. Does that eye look okay? Yeah, it's as good as it's gonna get, I guess. Is it? Yes. No? And another thing that we did with Peppermint was that we took some yarn and we hung it from the TV and strung it all the way across the room, and we hung bells along the yarn, and then we put Peppermint in the middle of it and hung him from it. We oh no, that did sound really dark. It wasn't like that. No. We hung him from his little hat where we made it look like he was ziplining through the classroom.
Is his hat been sewn to his head?
Yes.
You're a monster.
And another thing that we did is that we took the cots and we just made a mess of them, put them in all sorts of like different positions, and we like took the kids' bedding and like sprawled it out all over the place, made it look like Peppermint like messed up their beds. We would put like Christmas bows on them. It was just really fun, and we always came up with like a catchy phrase to go along with it. Like one of the first days that we did it, we took a lot of like the toy zoo animals and we made it look like Peppermint was feeding animals marshmallows. And every single time those kids would walk into the room, they would be like, "Oh, Peppermint messed with our beds. Peppermint's on the ceiling. Peppermint." And it was just really fun to think of like creative things to do with the kids involving Peppermint. But one of the most annoying things was when we had the yarn going from across the classroom, and it always like came to like right here on me at like the lowest point, and I was always running into it. There was like one point I was getting a phone call during nap time, and my piercing got caught on the yarn when I went to go underneath it, and it was just a way that we set ourselves up just to get just obliterate it every now and then. Because every single time we would run into it, the bells would go. But it was fun. It was really fun. I would do it again. I received a lot of gifts from like my coworkers and parents, and they were always just really sweet. I also got a lot of free food, which was really nice. I don't know, it's made the holiday season a lot more enjoyable, I would say. Nard, what is one of your most favorite gifts that you got for Christmas growing up? Like when you think back to it, you're like, ooh, yeah, that was a really good Christmas gift.
I have like a good experience, but it was just not executed properly because my parents, I was telling my parents I really wanted a bass guitar, and I really wanted it. I've always wanted one for like a whole 2 years. And they're like, okay. And Christmas morning shows out. I'm looking at a guitar box, and I'm like, okay, sweet, they got it for me. Not to notice that the dimensions for it were not up to where it needed to be. Come to find out, my parents were so out of the loop of what instruments were what. They just got me a 6-string guitar. And we were not big on funds, so I basically just had to power through it and just say, oh gosh, that's awesome, thanks, Mom. She was like, I know you love it, right? I was like, yeah. And there was a point where I was just like, Mom, I had to tell you something. This isn't the right instrument. She was like, but you've been playing it for like a year and some change. I know, I wanted to make you happy.
Aww. There was one year that I was obsessed with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't know why, but I just was. But my obsession with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I guess, lined up with like stuff that was coming out in stores around Christmas time, because then a bunch of like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stuff was coming out. And so I just remember for Christmas, almost all the, like, a lot of the gifts that I was opening was like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like figurines and like t-shirts and coloring books. I don't remember how old I was, but I was so excited.
Let me tell you about boyfriend's greatest Christmas ever. I get up at like 6 a.m. It's dark outside. It's Buffalo, New York. Snow's on the ground. Fresh powder's coming down. I wait up for like 2 hours outside the tree for my parents to get up so I could open the gifts. And it was awesome. I got a green Game Boy Color with Pokemon Red version, which I still own to this day. And in my stocking was my first ever deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It was the greatest Christmas of all time.
Merry Christmas! So, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure you like and subscribe. Also, I will be posting every Friday slash Saturday because we ran into issues with uploading. So it's technically going up. It came up super late last week.
Montage time!
Got baseball.
Happy Christmas.